I toasted my brother's success right before his arrest. I raised my glass and smiled like a supportive sibling on a brochure. To my brother's retirement at 38, polite laughter, phones up, cake rolling in like it had a publicist. 30 seconds later, 2 detectives slid through the side door, calm as librarians with handcuffs, and his watch stopped gleaming because his wrists got new jewelry. Gasps hit the ceiling. Mom whispered, "It's a prank, like a wish." Dad stared at the floor like it owed him an answer. Aunt Carol clutched her violin like it might file an appeal. The officer read, "Counts, wire fraud, embezzlement." My brother said, misunderstanding the way people say oops after crashing a boat. Here's what you should know. He siphoned from the family business and called it optimization. I brought receipts to dessert. He wanted applause. I brought math. Stay. You're about to watch a golden boy try to outrun a spreadsheet. Spoiler, spreadsheets wear good shoes. The setup and the lie. We grew up on the same carpet, but different rules. He was the headline. I was the footnote. He introduced himself to mirrors. I introduced myself to lists. His name is Chad. Of course it is. The family called him self-made with a straight face, like he wasn't speedrunning our goodwill with a coupon book. He curated a myth. Airport selfies with rented gates. A laptop on a beach, which is a cry for help and sand in the ports. Captions like, "Never apologize for success." I commented, "Apologize for spelling," because he spelled Phoenix as Phoenix on 3 invoices and 1 birthday card. Our business? Boring in the way that pays mortgages. Consistent. Honest. Suddenly the numbers did tiny limbos, not a crash, a wobble, little gaps, returns late, vendors confused. Mom said, "He's modernizing." Dad said, "He's visionary." I said, "Where did the money go?" Chad said, "Taxes." Like taxes are a monster under the bed that eats logic. He borrowed short-term from my savings for a vendor emergency. The vendor was a shell with a logo that looked like a rock wearing sunglasses. He installed jargon like wallpaper, synergy, verticals, bridge the float. If you asked for plain English, he smiled like a politician and said, "We're winning." He found worshipers, a mentor who taught him to talk in metaphors and invoices, investors who liked shiny things, employees who weren't paid to ask questions. Meanwhile, I kept smiles light and eyes open. I ran interference at dinner, then opened spreadsheets at midnight like crime scenes. He needed a stage. I needed a clock. Then the invitation arrived, a black tie retirement party at 38. Theme, legacy, location, a ballroom with a name that sounds like a chandelier went to college. Perfect. He loves a mic. I love tabs. He wanted rose petals. I brought highlighters. Red flags start tapping me on the shoulder. First tap, the yacht. He named it Liquid Assets. That's not a name. That's a confession in boat shoes. He invited us aboard for content. There was a drone, a bar cart, and a lemon zester engraved with his initials like citrus needs branding. It was a deal, he said. From who? I asked. Poseidon's pawn shop? Second tap, the watch. Diamonds loud enough to blind a seagull. He called it a networking tool. Sure, if network means sunlight. Third, the rotation of leased supercars like ice cream flavors. Vanilla in March. Pistachio in May. Caption, "Work hard, reward yourself." I commented, "Work hard, spell Phoenix." He left me on red. The invoices did not. The timeline smelled off. Money arrived overnight. Contracts appeared with copy-paste scars. Fonts fighting each other. Signatures too clean. He said, "Closed a deal in Asia." The vendor address? P.O. Box in Idaho. Which Asia? I asked. Global, he said. Stunning geography. Micro moment. He asked for my admin access for tax moves. Taxes again, his emotional support noun. I said no. He called me negative and borrowed someone else's login. Transfers walked out at 1:57 a.m. like raccoons dragging pizza. Round numbers, 4,000, 8,000, 12,000. Clean as a haircut. Criminals love round numbers. Accountants love edges. Duplicate invoice numbers across different vendors. Same typo in city names. Phoenix, Seattle. One warehouse pin dropped in the middle of a lake. Scenic. Hard to deliver pallets to trout. He built a word salad bar and charged per topping. We're leveraging vertical synergies to optimize liabilities across multi-channel scope. Translation. Soup. I started a petty list titled Sentences That Mean Nothing. I called my friend Ben. Quiet. Eats spreadsheets for breakfast. He scanned 3 PDFs and said, "Why are these fonts related?" He pulled email headers, tapped metadata like a safe cracker. BCC to a Gmail, he said. Lake House IP. Also, creator tag says Chad's MacBook Pro. Rename your devices. Criminals. We built a wall timeline. Green sticky for transfers. Yellow for invoices. Pink for sloppy. The pinks multiplied like free samples. Every yacht post matched a green dot the next day. Caption. Hustle. Payment. Consulting retainer to a vape shop P.O. box. I pulled Secretary of State filings. Shell companies with registered agents and storage units. One agent shared a number with a dog walker named Pickles. Pickles is innocent, but very available. Then the big one. Operating account to consultant to his holding LLC to the yacht lender. 2 days. Straight lines. He laundered like a person who hides laundry behind a chair and calls it tidied. I printed a binder with tabs that could guide ships, bank trails, shells, emails, metadata, transfer chains, yacht receipts, bonus, typos. I taped a thumb drive inside like a candy bar with consequences. Cloud backup set to auto email if I didn't tap alive by midnight. Paranoid? It's called experience. He wanted legacy. I wanted the room to have good lighting when the truth walked in. The party invitation solved that. He'd get applause. He'd get cake. He'd get cuffs. And me? I'd get to raise a glass and let math talk. Detective mode. Receipts. Don't lie. I treated the books like they were gossip with legal consequences. Step 1. Pull every bank export for 6 months. Step 2. Sort by time, not amount. Fraud likes the night shift. The report lit up with 1:57 a.m. and 2:13 a.m. like rude stars. Round numbers everywhere. 4,000, 8,000, 12. Notes said, Ops, which is not a description. It's a shrug with a name tag. I color-coded like a preschool teacher with a vendetta. Green for money that walked. Yellow for invoices that lied. Pink for sloppy. Sloppy grew like mold on confidence. Every time he posted rise and grind, a green dot rose and ground. Invoices next. I printed them like old letters from a lover who cannot spell. 5 vendors, different names, same template. The Rick signature had the same left hook R across 3 companies that supposedly hated each other. Fonts tried to cosplay. Ariel-ish meets Times New Roman's cousin who failed community college. And the typos. Phoenix. Seedle. At this point, I was just offended on behalf of vowels. Ben pulled email headers like a magician pulls scarves. BCC to a Gmail, he said, calm as a lake. Origin IP, Lake House router. Creator tag, Chad's MacBook Pro. Rename your devices, criminals. He looked satisfied like a plant that finally got water. I handed him a cookie. Positive reinforcement. We traced formation documents. Secretary of State filings that smell like minimum effort. Registered agents and storage units. One address rang to a vape shop that sells mango sadness. I called the number out of curiosity. A teenager said, we don't do consulting. I said, you just did. Then the transfer chain, which is where my heart grew 3 sizes and then filed paperwork. Operating account, consultant, holding LLC, yacht lender. Clean lines. 2-day hop. If I drew it with crayons, a judge could still follow. Memo field said marketing and retainer. I wrote boat snacks in pencil because I'm petty and it delights me. Metadata pulled from PDFs said they were created at 3:02 a.m. while Chad's MacBook Pro yawned. He changed 3 commas to periods like a raccoon rearranging trash. I took screenshots. I dated everything. I added context notes like a crime documentary with better snacks. We found text to the operations manager that read, move funds for taxes. Taxes again. His comfort blanket. Reply, which taxes? His answer, my consultant handles it. My consultant is not a tax authority. Also, the consultant domain was a free site filled with lorem ipsum and a button that didn't click. I made a binder that could stop a door and start a fight. Tabs, bank trails, shell companies, invoices, email headers, metadata, transfer chains, yacht receipts, bonus, typos. I taped a thumb drive inside like a candy bar with consequences. I put a twin drive in my glove box. I set a cloud timer to email the whole circus to my lawyer if my phone didn't get an alive tap by midnight. Paranoid? It's called planning. Also, I like sleeping. I rehearsed the walkthrough in the mirror like a cooking show host who feeds judges justice. Here's money leaving. Here's the fake hand catching it. Here's the email tying bow to finger. Here's the boat. The boat always got a beat. It earned it by being named Liquid Assets, which is not a name. It's a subpoena in cursive. Ben said, we have enough. My lawyer said, we have more than enough. The detective said, we need timing. I smiled. I have an invitation. Party invitation. The perfect stage drops in my lap. The envelope arrived heavy enough to bruise a conscience. Gold foil. Embossed. My name in calligraphy like the pen did Pilates. Join us to celebrate Chad's retirement at 38. Venue. A hotel ballroom with a French last name. Dress code. Black tie. Theme. Legacy. I laughed so loud my cat filed a noise complaint with her eyes. I RSVP'd yes, obviously. Then I called Mom. Isn't it wonderful? She sang. I said, it's big. She said, be supportive. I said, I'm bringing something thoughtful. She thought I meant a card. I meant a binder. I called my lawyer. If I deliver a case with tabs, can you bring a badge? She said, I can bring people with badges. She looped in a detective with a calm voice and a memory for times. We walked through the choreography like we were staging a heist where the loot is accountability. They needed a window. I said, he won't leave before applause or cake. We synced to the dessert schedule, 9:13. Specificity is my love language. We set a signal. I'd go to the bar and order, quote, Bourbon, 2 cubes, and Existential Dread. The bartender, pre-briefed, would text the word dread. Is this dramatic? Sure. Is it memorable? Absolutely. He loves a brand. I can brand too. We built a witness grid. Parents, investors, and matching Navy with fragile egos. Staff who were told curiosity is disloyalty. The mentor who teaches men to sell air as atmosphere. Ben in a Navy suit and a tie with tiny calculators, because justice can accessorize. My lawyer, 2 chairs away, bag open like a hungry mouth waiting for the binder. I added redundancies because chaos loves a loophole. Duplicate drive taped under a coat checkbox labeled Ms. Due Diligence. Cloud timer set to blast the evidence packet if my battery dipped under 5% after 9. Backup printed at a copy shop with a pickup time of 10:05 because printers betray people who don't schedule. I wrote a toast that wore velvet and carried a blade. Nostalgia first. Lemonade stands with surge pricing. The sprinkler incident rebranded as infrastructure. Then breadcrumbs only he would notice. Dates that rhyme with transfers. A joke about spelling Phoenix however your heart desires. A nod to consultants who live in storage units. The room would laugh. He would feel the floor tilt. That's the psychology. Keep it warm so he steps forward, not sideways. Mom texted photos of centerpieces, little gold laurel wreaths. I saved one and named it Hubris, JPEG. Aunt Carol asked if she should bring her violin. She brings it everywhere, like a golden retriever with a favorite stick. I said, maybe keep it in the case. She sent a winking emoji, which is code for I'm bringing it. I practiced the drink order. Yes, I practiced saying words. Bourbon, 2 cubes, and Existential Dread. Not existential crisis, not dread with a twist. Tara, the bartender, would be listening for exact nouns. I wrote it on a sticky note by my sink and told my reflection to stop smiling like a villain. The detective said, we'll be outside at your phrase. My lawyer said, hand me the binder before the lights dim. Ben said, don't forget the typo page. Judges love a theme. My cat blinked. I took that as approval. On the day, I picked a suit that says, I came here to clap and close loops. I slid the binder into a sleeve so sleek it could attend its own gala. Cash in pocket for the bartender and the coat check because gratitude oils hinges. I queued a playlist that makes me walk like I pay bills on time. First track, Breathe. Second, Petty Anthem. Third, Focus. In the car, I parked near the exit because justice is lighter when you find your vehicle fast. My phone buzzed. Detective, on site. Lawyer, table near aisle. Ben, I brought mints. I breathed in, breathed out, and smiled like a supportive sibling who double majored in spreadsheets and timing. He wanted legacy. I packed lighting, witnesses, and a punchline. Then I locked the door, patted Ms. Due Diligence in the coat check in my mind, and walked toward the ballroom where the cake had a better publicist than the truth. Not for long. The sting blueprint. The plan wasn't flashy. Flashy squeaks. We went with silent and sharp. Step 1, the evidence package. Binder thick enough to stun a lie. Tabs that sang. Bank trails, shells, invoices, email headers, metadata, transfer chains, yacht receipts, bonus, typos. The thumb drive twin named recipe cookies.zip because if he ever opened anything, it had carbs. Inside the zip, justice and folders. A cloud copy sat on a timer like a polite grenade. Step 2, witnesses. You don't detonate truth in an empty room. Parents at center table where denial has lighting. Investors in their Navy uniforms seated close enough to hear verbs. Staff in sightlines because people believe math when it wears uniforms and name tags. The mentor placed where he could not slither without knocking over a fern. Ben by dessert, like a silent lighthouse in a calculator tie. My lawyer, 2 chairs from me, bag open, zipper down, patience loaded. Step 3, timing. Ballrooms run on clocks and carbs. We synced warrants to pastry, 9:13. My favorite number now. The detective said, we need a moment where he won't run. I said, he won't leave before applause, and he won't cut cake with handcuffs. Dessert is the bottleneck. We live there. He nodded like a
man who respects sugar and strategy. Step 4, the signal. I would walk to the bar and say, deadpan, bourbon, 2 cubes, and existential dread.
Tara, briefed and unflappable, would text dread to the team waiting outside. Not dread exclamation point, not dread with emojis. One word, clean. The detectives would enter on cake. Cuffs would appear as garnish. Step 5, bait. My toast would be a warm blanket with a zipper of teeth. Childhood stories. Lemonade with surge pricing. The sprinkler incident rebranded as infrastructure. Then breadcrumbs. Spell Phoenix however your heart feels. Consultants who live in storage units. Money that doesn't sneak out at 2 a.m. The room laughs. He hears thunder. He cannot resist a mic. He will interject. He will self-incriminate in tone if not sentence. Narcissism is cooperative if you make it think it's leading. Step 6. Redundancies. The coat check package registered to Ms. Due Diligence because I enjoy being a problem with manners. A second thumb drive taped under the box like a sticky secret. Cloud timer set to blast the packet to detective lawyer and, for dessert, his mentor if my phone battery dipped below 5% after 9. Print job scheduled at the copy shop at 10:05 because printers betray the unprepared. I would not be betrayed by toner. Step 7. Exits. Park near the garage exit. Keep the path clean. If the room turned into soup, I could be in my car in 60 seconds with my binder buckled like a toddler. We rehearsed. My lawyer said, tone warm, words sharp. The detective said, don't accuse, imply. We don't need theater. Ben said, show the typos. It's funny and forensic. I said, I can multitask. My cat blinked like a judge and granted bail. We planned for failure like adults. If he bolted, the side doors manned. If mom fainted, Tara has water and a chair. If an investor started swinging, the maitre d' lifts eyebrows that can pacify a rhinoceros. If the band tried to play Don't Stop Believin', Tara pulls the plug. I wrote it down. Contingency, journey prevention. We were thorough. I weaponized kindness. Smile at staff. Tip first. Thank the sound tech for making mics behave. People help the polite. And if things snapped, polite people get warnings before the snap. Final check. Lines I would not say. No fraud. No embezzlement. No, I told you so. Not tonight. Tonight, I would be the calm narrator of his consequences. He wanted legacy. He would get it. Recorded, time-stamped, and color-coded. Simple. I looked at the plan and felt my heart slide into place like a file in the right drawer. Quiet. Mean in the exact right way. We were ready to light the stage he rented and show the play he wrote. Pre-game jitters. Petty prep montage. Morning of. I laid out the suit that says, I pay my credit card in full. Navy, quiet, pressed like a boundary. Shirt crisp enough to slice excuses. Shoes with a tap that whispers, not shouts. My tie? Deep green. Spreadsheet chic. Mirror time. Smile practice. Friendly, not feral. Eyebrows calm. Cheekbones not plotting. I tested phrases under my breath. To honest work, paying honest bills. Risk without math is vibes. Bourbon, 2 cubes, and existential dread. The last one I rehearsed like a spell. Exact phrasing matters. Tara listens like a court reporter. Binder check. Tabs aligned like soldiers. The thumb drive in its velvet pouch because justice enjoys presentation. Spare pen. Spare highlighter. Sticky notes pre-cut because tearing during drama is bad optics. I slid the binder into a sleek sleeve that says portfolio, not bomb. Phone at 100. Portable battery at 100. Cloud timer tested. The alive button pinged, and I pinged back because I love not sending panic emails to authorities by accident. I built 3 reminders. Binder to lawyer, signal to bartender, breath to lungs. The last one is important and free. I texted Ben the run of show. Toast at 9:03, signal at 9:09, cuffs around 9:13. He sent a calculator, a hand clap, and, surprisingly, a dolphin. I accepted the dolphin as moral support. Mom's text lit up. Be kind. I replied, always. She responded with a heart and a photo of centerpieces. Gold laurel wreaths on mirrored bases. I saved it as hubris_2peg. Aunt Carol pinged. Violin tuned. I sent a thumbs up and prayed for silence in G major. I packed tip cash, bartender, coat check, the universe. People remember quiet gratitude. I also threw in breath mints because petty can be minty. Sent 1 spritz of competent. 2 would scream. I opened the front door, then came back to grab the coat check alias card, Ms. Due Diligence, and laughed in my kitchen alone like a gremlin with a plan. I cued my drive playlist. Track 1 told me to drop my shoulders. Track 2 made my feet walk like they know secrets. Track 3 said, focus. The steering wheel felt like a steering wheel. Amazing how normal things stay while you line up a soft explosion. Garage pick.
A space near the exit, facing forward. No backing up through chaos. I took a photo of the level and column because future me forgets and panic eats memory.
Petty, but smart. Elevator mirror. I checked my face again. Friend, not feral. Teeth, present. Eyes, awake. I whispered, "We do this kindly?" Then I added, "But we do it." My phone buzzed. Detective, on site. Lawyer, at table, aisle seat. Ben, I brought pins and mints. Tara, through the grapevine, sent nothing, which is how you know she's elite. In the lobby, a poster board easel announced Legacy Night in a font that thinks it's tall. I smoothed my tie. The host smiled and said my name with perfect vowels. I smiled back like a person who tips and knows things. Coat check. Name? The attendant asked. Due diligence? I said. A beat. He grinned like he got the joke and slid me a tag. I felt the second drive settled in its secret like a squirrel who pays taxes. I walked into the ballroom, and the air smelled like money, frosting, and temporary truths. The slideshow glowed. The cake sparkled. The chairs lined up like good soldiers waiting for bad orders. I exhaled once, checked my watch, found Ben, found my lawyer, found the bar, and found the calm I built. Then I put the binder under my chair, smiled like a brochure again, and thought, let's be nice to the truth. Welcome to the show. The ballroom pretended to be humble and failed in gold. A champagne wall taller than our family tree. A slideshow looping his face like it had a crush. Airport selfies. Laptop on a beach. Whiteboard arrows pointing to nowhere. Centerpieces that looked like trophies in witness protection. He entered like the main character of a movie no one asked for. Watch throwing sparkles. Smile set to maximum. He hugged me with his chin, which is a very specific kind of hug. You made it, he said. Legacy night, I said. He heard support. I meant timestamp. Mom squeezed my hand until my knuckles confessed. Be kind, she whispered. Always, I said. Dad nodded at bread like it owed him money. Aunt Carol hovered with her violin, ready to play the national anthem of denial. I scanned the room with my petty binoculars. Investors in navy with synchronized hair. Partners trying to look calm, failing gently. Staff clustered by the bar like penguins who unionized. The mentor floated, tan, unburdened by facts. Ben stood by dessert reading the cake like a ledger. My lawyer sat near the aisle with her bag open and her patience zipped halfway. He toured the tables like a politician at a lemonade stand. We optimize liabilities, he told a cluster. They clapped at the syllables. A woman with a neat bob asked, What does that mean? He winked. Strategy. Translation. Soup. He found me again because attention has a homing beacon. Say a few words? He asked. You've got the funny. I have words, I said. Retiring at 38, I said to a blazer with a bank account. The word self-made tripped and fell on the carpet. The band threw in tasteful jazz that sounded like invoices. He took a mini mic and said, I couldn't do it without you. Classic. He could. He did. Then he gestured to me. My sibling has stories. Oh, I do. I stood, friendly, not feral, and walked like a person whose shoes know secrets. I took the mic. It felt like a polite sword. Hi, I'm the sibling with fewer followers and more receipts. Laughter. Easy. Mom asked me to be nice. I will try. Mom clasped her hands like prayer had a budget. Growing up, he charged me $1 to use my own skateboard, I said. Entrepreneurship at home. Laughter. He pointed at himself. Lovable villain. We ran a lemonade stand with surge pricing. He called it peak thirst strategy. Bigger laugh. He was glowing. Glow while you can. We're different, I went on. He speaks headline. I do footnotes. Staff nodded from the bar like choir. He jumps. I check if the parachute is spelled correctly. A ripple. Ben looked at his shoes to hide a smile. He taught me risk tolerance, I said, tasting the words. How to jump first and ask questions later. Sometimes the cliff is a metaphor. Sometimes it's a yacht name. A hum moved across the room. The investors thought it was charming. He flinched 1 millimeter. File that. I pointed gently at the childhood photo behind me. We dug a moat by accident once. Laughs. We sold tickets. More laughs. Dad called it unapproved infrastructure. Dad's mouth twitched. I gave him that one. 3 quick truths, I said, raising fingers. 1. Good stories have receipts. Beat. 2. Risk without math is vibes. Beat. 3. Boats need silly names and legitimate payments. It landed like a paper airplane with a brick inside. Some people grinned. Some squinted. He swallowed. He tried to steer. Work hard. Play hard, he said. Yes, I said, and pay hard. The room chuckled. He smirked like it was his. It was not. I love a clean spreadsheet, I said. I love a clean conscience more. That line slid quiet and sharp. The mentor's tan frowned. A partner's fork paused midair. A server near Tara blinked like she felt weather. He couldn't resist. I always do my homework, he told the room, patting his chest. I know, I said. I graded it. Laughter with a nervous aftertaste. He touched his watch like it could fix time. I softened. To the people who kept the ship steady when the waves got weird, I said, nodding at staff. They straightened like someone finally saw them. To honest work, paying honest bills. I let each word stand on its own feet. He raised his glass. To building empires. To building, I said, and checking permits. A few investors laughed like that was a TED Talk from their conscience. Here's what I wish, I said, aiming warm. Rest that's earned, joy that doesn't need receipts, and money that never sneaks out at 2 a.m. The ops manager lowered her champagne like it had ears. He blinked. Twice. I lifted my glass. To Chad, I said, may the risks be worth the math. May the stories be true enough to need know.
Edits. May the boats be silly and the payments boring. Clinks. Applause. The room exhaled. He stepped in for the hug he imagined. I gave him air and a smile. Friendly, not feral. As the MC announced dessert, I drifted toward the bar through a forest of sequins and denial. Tara was polishing a glass already clean. I set my smile down and my voice on low. Bourbon, 2 cubes, and existential dread. She nodded once, sent the text without looking, and poured like a metronome. Behind me, the cake rolled out with sparklers. The slideshow hid his yacht photo, and my watch found 9:13 like a joke with good timing. I took the glass, did not drink, and let the room enjoy sugar for 3 more seconds. Then the side door opened and the math walked in wearing suits. The toast, knife wrapped in velvet. I tapped the mic once. The room tucked itself in. I kept my face kind, my words softer than they felt. So, childhood. He once charged me $1 to borrow my own skateboard. He called it usage rights. I called it theft with receipts. We split the profits on lemonade 90/10. He kept 90. My cut was exposure. He tried to sell rocks from our yard as limited edition backyard geodes. He walks in like a trailer. I bring the subtitles. He jumps first, names the cliff Opportunity, and asks gravity to collaborate. We dug a moat by accident, flooded the yard, sold tickets. Dad called it unapproved infrastructure. We called it pre-revenue. The neighbors called a plumber. Growth mindset. He once told me, always act like you belong. He said it while wearing my jacket. I said, return the jacket. He said, we're family. Translation, finders keepers, siblings weepers. He loves risk. He calls it tolerance. He calls it vision. He calls it Tuesday. I love math. I call it Tuesday too. Mine has fewer yachts. 3 truths I learned from him. 1. Confidence rents rooms. 2. Silence buys time. 3. Boats should be named something silly, then paid for like a utility bill. No drama. Just auto pay and sunscreen. He taught me to pitch. I taught him to label. He taught me charm. I taught him spell check. He taught me, don't apologize for success. I taught him, do apologize to Phoenix. He says winners never quit. I say winners reconcile. Quiet wins are my kink. So is a $0 variance. We all have hobbies. He took me to a seminar once. The speaker said, if you can't dazzle them with data, dazzle them with daylight. I said, or bring both. Chad wrote down daylight. I circled data like a love letter. We ran a lemonade stand with surge pricing. He called it peak thirst strategy. Grandma called it rude. He smiled and gave her a free cup. She paid him anyway. He's always had gravity. Earlier today, he told me, keep it sweet. I said, I can do sweet, so here's sweet. He is relentless. He is glass half full with a refill plan. He believes a door is a suggestion. He taught me stubborn can be a compliment if you point it at the right task. And here's sugar with fiber. Dates matter. Because when you say you learned a lesson in May and the bill lands in June, we all understand the plot. That's not shade. That's a calendar with boundaries. To the team that kept the ship steady when the waves got weird, thank you. To the people who hit send and then checked the ledger twice, I see you. To the ones who love boring, you're my people. Boring pays benefits. Boring sleeps. To the investors who love vision, I love vision with glasses on. It sees better. It doesn't walk into boats named like punchlines. He loves a consultant. He has met so many consultants. Some live in offices,
Some live in P.O. boxes. Some live in storage units with dreams. I respect ambition. I respect addresses more. He told me once, we're optimizing liabilities across vehicles. I said, in English? He said, we're winning. I said, spell Phoenix. We laughed. Eventually, he cannot resist a mic. Watch. He will interrupt me right now to say, work hard, play hard. It's his favorite loop. There it is. Yes, work hard, play hard, and pay hard. The trifecta. He says he does his homework. He does. I grade it. Comments in the margins. Gentle notes. Red pen where necessary. Stickers for effort. Stars for accuracy. Detentions for boats. I'm not here to roast. I'm here to toast. And to translate. Risk without math is vibes. Vibes are great for playlists. Bad for payroll. We mix both. We dance and we balance. Here's my wish list. Rest that is actually restful. Joy that doesn't need receipts. And money that never sneaks out at 2 a.m. If you know, you know. If you don't, good. To mom, who loves loudly. To dad, who fixes quietly. To Aunt Carol, who brought a violin to a cake. To the staff, who kept the lights on while the slideshow glowed. To the investors, may your due diligence be nosy and your pins uncap. Easily. To you, Chad, may your cliff jumps come with helmets. May your stories need no edits. May your boats have silly names and boring payments. May your legacy be math you don't have to justify. To honest work paying honest bills. To permits checked. To Phoenix spelled like Phoenix. To Tuesdays without emergencies. To bedtime without alarms. To champagne that tastes like we earned it. I raise my glass. Friendly, not feral. Warm, not weak. Here's to him. Here's to us. Here's to boring, the friend who drives you home. Clink your glasses. Laugh now. Take your photos. Enjoy the sparkler moment. Dessert is coming. And I promise, dessert is where the plot gets interesting. The signal. Dessert with handcuffs. I left the mic like it might bite, slid through sequins, and parked at the bar. Tara wiped the counter once. Already clean. Already ready. I kept my voice low and steady. Bourbon, 2 cubes, and existential dread. She nodded like a metronome heard it too. Her hand dipped. The quiet buzz of a text flew out into the night, and a short glass landed in front of me like a period. Behind me, the cake rolled out with sparklers doing tiny fireworks. The slideshow helpfully chose the yacht photo. Liquid assets posed like it paid its own bills. People did the polite, ooh, sound money gets on weekends. I didn't drink. I set the glass down, checked the room clock, and found 9:13 staring at me like a punchline with manners. The side door opened the way authority opens things. Calm, unhurried, inevitable. 2 detectives in suits that don't chase tips, followed by 2 uniforms whose shoes knew how to hush carpets. They didn't wave. They didn't posture. They headed straight for the center table like they'd been here before in a different life. First sound, forks stopping midair. Second, a gasp that tried to hide in a napkin. Third, my mother whispering, "It's a prank. Please be a prank," to the ceiling. Dad stared at his water like it might file an appeal. Aunt Carol's bow hovered, then froze, mid-air punctuation. The lead detective said, "Chadwick Reynolds?" The full name took his smile by the collar. He did a soft laugh. "Misunderstanding," he said, palms out, watch screaming for relevance. "It's a counting noise. We were reallocating." He said reallocating like a scented candle. The detective didn't buy candles. "You're under arrest for wire fraud and embezzlement," he said, voice like a ruler. "Counts, dates, amounts." The room learned numbers faster than it had all night. Phones rose like sunflowers, bright and shameless. Somewhere a server whispered, "Oh wow," to a slice of cake. Mom stood so fast her chair tried to follow. "This is a prank," she told the detective's tie. He said, "No ma'am," with the gentleness of a person who has seen worse on Tuesdays. Dad's jaw moved once. He didn't look up. He held his napkin like it could keep him from saying something true. An investor in Navy turned the color of a stop sign. "You used our funds for a boat?" he asked, as if boat were a medical condition. "Lease," Chad said too quickly. "Marketing tool." "For who?" the investor shot back. "Neptune?" The room didn't laugh. Tara did not stop polishing the same glass. It was therapy now. He reached for charm, found cuffs instead. "Hands behind your back, please." The metal clicked like a tiny door closing. The watch stopped performing. A shard of silence cut the room. The band tried to play through it, then surrendered mid-sax like adults. He pivoted to me because it's a habit. "You did this," he said, low and sharp, like a child blaming gravity. I kept my voice kind. "I brought math to dessert." He blinked like he'd met a word he couldn't sell. The mentor floated backward, tan losing altitude. Staff by the bar looked at the operations manager, who looked at her shoes, which looked at the truth. She mouthed, 2 a.m., and I nodded once. We had both been awake too many nights. The lead detective glanced at my lawyer. Do you have the materials? She lifted her bag just enough to show tabs. Organized, she said. He did the smallest nod, professional to professional. Ben took one bite of cake for morale, then put the fork down like a gentleman at a courtroom. Mom reached for Chad's sleeve. Tell them, she begged. Tell them you didn't. He tried the old smile. It slid off. It always needed better glue than this. I'll explain everything, he told her. Later, he added to the detective. The detective said, Good, to your attorney. An investor hissed. We'll be in touch, in a tone that meant letters with letterhead. Aunt Carol whispered to me, Should I play something? I said, Not major. She nodded like she had a plan for minor. They turned him toward the door. He looked at me once more, anger behind glass. You'll regret this, he mouthed. I'll sleep, I mouthed back. The door closed with a soft click that sounded like a verdict saying, Shish. The cake leaned a little, confused by timing. The slideshow cut to childhood grass stains, which felt like a prank on us all. Phones. Lowered, shame arriving late, but dressed nicely. Someone's calendar chimed. Legacy toast. The room pretended not to hear. The MC cleared his throat and swallowed his career. The band played 3 polite notes, then let them die with dignity. Tara finally set down the glass she'd been washing into transparency. My father stood, slow as a measure. Let's step out. He said to no one and exactly who needed it. We moved to a smaller room. The ballroom kept breathing without us. In the doorway, I looked back once at the cake and thought, dessert delivered. Then I followed my family into the quiet where the real work starts. Chaos symphony, faces, begging, excuses. Mom's voice went first, thin and bright like a wire about to snap. This is a prank, she told the nearest authority-shaped object, which happened to be a chair. The chair stayed neutral. She turned to me. Tell them it's a prank. Make it stop. Her eyes were glossy with hope and history. Dad didn't look up. He folded his napkin once, then again, like he was balancing a ledger no one else could see. He said, We've paid our taxes, to the table. The table did not congratulate him. Chad tried charm like a universal key. It fit nothing. Accounting noise, he told the detective. Reallocations. Temporary float. He said float like a pool party with a cover charge. The detective said, hands, like a door closing kindly. An investor in Navy did the color red impressively. Tell me you didn't spend our money on a yacht, he said, crisp as a contract. Lease, marketing, Chad shot back. Minor later, she nodded, fiercely musical. The mentor oiled forward. Visionaries get punished for being early, he told no one helpful. Paperwork lags greatness. The detective raised one eyebrow like a gate. Staff clustered by the bar, the operations manager in front, eyes on the floor, voice flat. I got midnight texts, she said to the air. Move funds for taxes. No vendor. Round to 8. She twisted her straw until it surrendered. I didn't know where it went. You weren't allowed to know, I said. She exhaled a year. Mom's hands found Chad's sleeve. Baby, tell them. Tell them it's for Dad's health. He grabbed the pitch. Yes, stress management, family first, compassion accounting. My lawyer coughed a tiny laugh and converted it to a throat clear. Dad finally looked up. Did you sign my partner's name on an invoice? Quiet can be a hammer, Chad blinked. Template error, he said. Happens. Not to signatures, Dad replied. His face was a closed shop. A second investor held up a phone with a screenshot. Blue Rock Solutions lists a storage unit. Why? Boutique vendor? Chad said. Automatic. The investor zoomed. Unit B12. Do vendors live in B12? Only if they're boxes, I said. Pickles the dog walker shares the phone number. Pickles is innocent. He pivoted to me, heat on low but angry. You could have come to me. You love a show. You love making me small. I smiled in my Sunday voice. I came to the math. The math came to you. He flinched like it threw a pebble. Tara slid water to Mom without speaking. Mom took it like a sacrament. She said, he raised money to help your father stop working and looked at the cuffs like they were allergic to empathy. The detective said, Ma'am, please sit. She sat because the floor asked politely. The mentor tried again. Sometimes founders must move fast. It isn't theft, it's speed. Ben, who hadn't spoken, finally did. Speed leaves metadata, he said gently. We brought some. He patted the bag like a cat. A partner tugged at his collar. Did you cancel the hospice donation? Yes or no? A beat. Due diligence, Chad said. Vendor was suspicious. Same day you spent $6,300 at a club named Thermodynamics, I added. Sparkler emoji in the receipt. The mentor winced like he'd bitten a lemon. The band played 2 confused notes and stopped. The room air got heavy, like secrets had weight. The MC tried, ladies, and then decided not to die on that hill. My phone buzzed alive. I tapped yes with a thumb that suddenly felt older.
An investor's wife, who'd said nothing all night, asked me, "How did you know?" I said, "You post at noon. Money moves at 2. Patterns are rude like that." Mom whispered, "I asked you to be nice." I said, "I was. Nice to the truth." She closed her eyes and nodded once, a tiny surrender flag. Chad jerked his chin at me, last flail. "You're jealous. You've always been jealous. You can't stand that I win." I kept my voice like a folded towel. "I love winning. I just like receipts more." He opened his mouth, found no script, closed it. The lead detective checked a clock only he could see. Time. They guided him toward the door. He looked back, threw me a curse with his eyes. "You'll regret this."
"Already sleep," I said, soft. He blinked hard, like that landed where compliments used to. Aunt Carol whispered, "I could do a lullaby for your dad." Dad said, "Make it something boring." She smiled. "Boring is my new genre." As the door closed, someone's calendar dinged cheer for legacy. The universe has timing issues. Forks settled. Phones dropped. The cake finally leaned into a server's hand like it needed support. The room turned its face toward me the way crowds look for narrators when the plot gets loud. I didn't stand. I didn't bow. I said, "We'll go to a quieter room. Bring water. Bring chairs. Bring your listening faces." And we walked, one small, ordinary step after another, out of the glitter and into the math. The reveal room, receipts on the table. We slid into the side salon like refugees from Sparkle. Softer lights, chairs that didn't wobble, a table with opinions. I set the binder down like a warm loaf of accountability. "We'll go slow," I said. "No drama, just steps." Tab 1, bank trails. I slid the first printout to Dad. Operating account, 6 months. Note the timestamps. 1:57 a.m., 2:13 a.m., round numbers, 4,000, 8, 12. Notes say, ops. That isn't a description. That's a shrug and a tie. Dad traced a line with his finger like it could jump. He said nothing. Good. Thinking is louder than arguing. An investor leaned in, wristwatch anxiously ticking. "Are round numbers bad?" "Lazy," Ben said, gentle. "Criminals love clean circles. Accountants like lumpy edges." He placed a neon sticky over a transfer like a Band-Aid on arrogance. Tab 2, shells. Blue Rock Solutions, Stone Pine Consulting, Apex Ridge. Cute names. I spread Secretary of State filings like a card trick. Registered agents at storage units. One address is Unit B12, Wheatfield Self-Storage. Boutique vendors rarely live between a kayak and someone's high school trophy. Another investor frowned. "That phone number matches a dog walking service." "Pickles," I said. "Pickles is innocent, punctual, and not a CPA." Mom touched the paper like it might bite. "He said boutique," she whispered. "Boutique is a hat," I said softly. "This is a box." Tab 3, invoices. I fanned 3 copies. Different vendors, same skeleton. Check the typo chorus, Phoenix, Seedle, and the signature block for Rick. Watch the R. See that down left hook? It repeats across all 3, like a nervous tick. Ben nodded, pleased like a plant finally getting water. He murmured, "Pressure points match." The partner in gray swallowed air. "Did he sign my name?" "Right here," I pointed. "Cut and pasted your dignity." Added a flourish. "Then build us for the glue." Tab 4, email headers. Ben slid a printout under the investors like a magician with receipts. BCC to a Gmail. Origin IP pings the Lake House router. Creator tag says Chad's MacBook Pro. Rename your devices. Criminals. Aunt Carol whispered it like a hymn. Mom rubbed her temple. He promised taxes. He uses taxes like Febreze, I said. Spray and pray. Ben tapped a calendar. None of this aligns with any quarterly schedule known to mankind or math. Tab 5, transfer chains. I put down the arrows. Operating account, consultant, holding LLC yacht lender. 2 days. Notes say retainer and marketing. I added, quietly also, boat. An investor pinched the bridge of his nose. That's our wire. Yes, I said. It visited Blue Rock, took a scenic route through his LLC, then learned to swim. Dad finally spoke, voice like a door that needs oil. When did we miss it? When he pointed the light elsewhere, I said. People follow light. He gave you slogans. I brought dates. Tab 6, metadata. PDFs created at 3:02 a.m. device. Chad's MacBook Pro. Location, Lake Wi-Fi.
He swapped commas and periods like disguises at a bad party. We noticed. The mentor cleared his throat with confidence he didn't earn. Founders build scaffolding for growth. I smiled without teeth. Scaffolding doesn't end at a yacht. My lawyer slid in, calm weather in heels. Seizure orders executed. Boat, car, accounts, frozen. We'll prep your restitution packets by morning. Color-coded, she added to me, because she knows my love language. Mom stared at a page I hadn't pulled yet. Hospice. I placed it gently. Canceled donation. Same-day receipt from a club called Thermodynamics. Sparkler emoji on the line item. She closed her eyes and did a small, quiet shake. He said he did it for us, she whispered. He did it near us, I said. That's different. I flipped to the timeline. Dots everywhere. Green for money, yellow for invoices, pink for sloppy. Pink bloomed like embarrassment. Every yacht post maps to a green dot the next day. Caption: hustle. Transaction: hurt. The operations manager stepped forward, voice small but shaped. He texted me at midnight. Move funds for taxes. Round to 8. Clean numbers look professional. I asked to who. He said, my consultant. No name. No EIN. She swallowed. I knew it was wrong. I said, you knew it felt wrong. That's a compass. We'll build guardrails so you never have to choose a loan again. An investor's wife spoke. Soft steel. What stops this next time? 2 signatures on every outgoing payment, I said. Segregation of duties. Vendor onboarding with actual humans and addresses that aren't Unit B12. Third-party monthly reconciliations. Read-only bank feeds for anyone who breathes on money. And a standing date with boring. Dad nodded, slow, like a rhythm he recognized. I can do boring, he said. Boring paid our mortgage. Boring sleeps, I said. He almost smiled. Almost is progress. The mentor tried one last slide of oil. Cancel culture punishes innovation. My lawyer didn't blink. Prosecutors love that sentence. Keep it. Tara eased in with water. She set glasses.
Down like kindness has choreography. Mom took one, sipped, exhaled. Thank you, she told the room, which meant me. I said, we're okay. Not fine, but okay has stairs. Ben gathered stray pages into a tidy stack, spine tapped flat. You color-coded your rage, he said. I said, I alphabetized it too. He smiled with his eyes. I closed the binder with a soft, happy thud. We'll fix the books. We'll call the auditors. We'll write policies in ink and boundaries in bold. And when someone says boutique, we'll ask for a lease. Dad looked at the door where noise lived, then at me. Thank you, he said. Not loud. True. I nodded. Friendly, not feral. We'll do the math out loud now, I told the room. The music outside tried to restart. In here, we counted. The last gaslight. I did it for us. The door cracked. He slid in between 2 officers like a thought nobody ordered. 1 minute, the detective said. Mom stood up so fast her chair jumped. He smiled with those soft eyes he saves for holidays and bail. I did it for us, he said. He said it like a lullaby with a receipt stapled to the back. For Dad, he went on. For your blood pressure. For Mom's anxiety. The business needed runway. I built the bridge. I carried the float so no one would drown. He reached for Mom's hands. She let him take one. His cuff clinked like a tiny bell. He aimed the next part at me because habits don't respect handcuffs. You never believe first, he said. I had to move fast. Vendors are boutique. They don't fit your boxes. This is compassion accounting. He smiled, like he'd invented empathy with a ledger. I kept my voice level. You canceled hospice at 10. You spent $6,300 at thermodynamics at 11. Sparkler emoji. He flinched, then found a new word costume. Morale, he said, for the team. Which team? I asked. Bottle service. Dad didn't raise his voice. Did you sign my partner's name? Yes or no? Chad breathed in. Template error. Happens. Not to identity, Dad said. The word identity sat there, heavy as a bench. He pivoted to Mom. The boat was for family weekends. We never had those. I wanted to give that back. He said back like the past owed him a payment plan. Mom's lip trembled. She is soft. She is not stupid. She asked, did you take from us? His eyes did 4 versions of honesty and picked none. I took what I needed so the vision didn't die, he said. For us. He kept saying for us like it was spell safe. I slid the yacht lender statement next to thermodynamics and the canceled hospice. That's not us, I said. That's sunglasses. He dropped noble and picked petty. You loved humiliating me. You built a show. You could have come to me. I did, I said. I came with math. You brought mirrors. He tried to laugh. It cracked. The mentor opened his mouth. My lawyer shut it with her eyebrows. Save it for counsel, she said. So gently it counted as first aid. He aimed at the detective. This is a misunderstanding. I'm a visionary overwhelmed by growth. The detective blinked once. Wire transfers at 1:57 a.m. aren't vision, they're habits. He tried jealousy like a backup suit. You can't stand that I win, I said. I love winning. I just like receipts more. He stared like that line hid an old bruise. Mom touched his cheek, thumb soft. Baby, stop, he whispered. I can fix it. Say you misread. Say it's complicated. I nodded. It is complicated. That's why I made it simple. Tabs, dates, chains. Your wire spelled your name louder than I ever could. He looked past me to Dad. Tell me you believe me. Dad's face didn't move. I believe you did this, he said. That's all. It landed like winter, Ben murmured. Metadata doesn't lie. He says it like a bedtime prayer. It worked. Chad reached for rage. You'll regret this. Family forgives. PR helps. Fines. We move on. My lawyer smiled like a person who reads calendars for sport. Judges love confidence in future crimes. 30 seconds. The detective tapped his watch. Chad shrank, then tried on sorrow. I'm sorry, Mom. I did it for us. Mom inhaled, exhaled, straightened her shoulders like a hinge found oil. Then do nothing for us for a while, she said. Let us heal where you can't reach. He blinked, stunned by a sentence that didn't bend. He tried one last thread. I can change. Good, I said. Start by listening. Start by stopping. Time, the detective said. They turned him gently. He glanced at me, eyes sharp, wet. You're cruel. I'm careful, I said. Careful is kindness with guardrails. They walked him out. The door clicked. The room exhaled like a lung that finally remembered how. Aunt Carol lifted her bow. Minor key? Mom nodded. Play something small. We sat. We listened. And for the first time all night, the music told the truth. Aftermath. The paper avalanche. Morning punched my phone with headlines. Self-made star arrested. Legacy night becomes ledger night. Every outlet used the yacht photo because the internet loves irony with SPF. Liquid assets shined like it paid taxes. It didn't. I named the screenshot consequences_44 PNG and let myself grin for one medium second. By noon, the seizure list read like a shopping cart for karma. Boat, seized. Supercar, seized. Watch collection, seized. Accounts, frozen like peas. The federal sticker on the yacht looked like a quiet middle finger from a printer. Ben set it as my desktop. Professionalism is a spectrum. Partners called with polite rage. We're filing. We'll coordinate. My lawyer built a calendar like air traffic control. 10 a.m., complaints. 2, regulators. 4, investors council. Everything color-coded. She knows my heart is a label maker with boundaries. The business woke up cranky and honest. Auditors arrived in sensible shoes with eyes that missed nothing. Coffee? Yes. Outlet? Yes. Access? All of it. We gave them chairs, reads, and zero drama. They smiled like doctors when the patient stops Googling symptoms and starts breathing. We installed seatbelts on money. 2 signatures for every outgoing payment, not just the cute ones. Split duties like a cooperative divorce. Vendor onboarding asked for real addresses and human voices that weren't Unit B12. Read-only bank feeds for anyone breathing near the ledger. Passwords in a vault with multi-factor that texts you, emails you, and knocks on your door. The ops manager cried once at the new workflow, then labeled every drawer. Joy looks like a label that says cables, do not wander. Staff meetings shifted from vibes to verbs. We ran a lunch and learn called Fraud Isn't Magic, It's Patterns. Red flags, round numbers, night transfers, boutique vendors who live in boxes, taxes as air freshener. People took notes. Someone asked, what about boats? Earn them, I said, then named them something stupid and boringly pay for them forever. Family chat went museum quiet. Mom sent a heart and a doctor appointment. Dad sent a photo of his tackle box and wrote Tuesdays. I invited them both to boring. It's free and on time. Aunt Carol texted a video of a minor key scale like she was seasoning the air. I sent back a thumbs up and a spreadsheet gif. Communication is an art. Reporters circled like curious pigeons. My lawyer said, no comment, with poise. The mentor tweeted, innovation is punished. The replies, innovate paying your bills. He deleted it. The internet screenshotted it because the internet is the world's pettiest archivist. We built restitution packets that could guide ships. Tabs, claims, wires, chains, loss tables, exhibits. The clerk at the courthouse said, this is very organized. I told her, it's how I pray. She laughed, then stamped a pile hard enough to make hope. A micro win slid in sideways, the auction listing. The yacht got renamed per court order, due diligence. I clapped alone at my desk, then pretended I had dust in my eye. Ben doodled a tiny boat on a sticky and labeled it, pay your bills. I kept it under my keyboard like a pocket sermon. Night stopped buzzing at 1:57 a.m. My brain clocked out. I slept like a human who doesn't chase money around the internet. The alive button retired. The house exhaled. The cat resumed judging me strictly during business hours. Investors came by in pairs like animals learning a new arc. Safe? They asked. Safer than yesterday, I said. We walked them through guardrails, their shoulders lowered in inches, not miles. It counts. Regulators were thorough and surprisingly kind. They asked for logs, headers, copies. We gave them snacks and answers. Hospitality isn't bribery. It's manners with timestamps. One agent said, "Thank you for not being combative." I said, "Thank you for your patience with nouns." Dad apologized in the garage while cleaning a wrench that didn't need it. "I wanted the easy story," he said. "Proud is easier than careful." I handed him a highlighter. "Try both." He traced a policy line like it might run away if he didn't guard it. Mom started therapy. She called me after and said, "I don't have to host everyone's mistakes." I said, "You can host cookies." She laughed in a way I hadn't heard since before sparkler cake. We ate actual cookies on the porch and didn't mention boats. Community reached out. Chamber Breakfast wanted to talk. I titled it Boring Saves You. I told them to read bank feeds like gossip and treat round numbers like suspicious haircuts. A man in a bolo tie said, "My nephew says synergy. Tell him to say ledger," I said. He shook my hand like we'd both fixed a small leak. We visited him once. Bleach and boredom. He said, "I'm reading." Good. Read, think, breathe. I don't hate him. I hate the choices. We left with our hearts alphabetized. I let myself be petty in teaspoons. I framed the auction screenshot. I kept the embossed invitation in a folder labeled Artifacts. I set unknown caller ringtone to a cash register cha-ching. I ate cake again. Cake is innocent. We made a wall rule in the office. If someone says boutique, ask for a lease. If someone says taxes, ask for an EIN. If someone says trust me, say show me. If someone says boat, say later. We picked boring again the next day. Then the thing. Next, it kept working. It kept being kind. And when the house got quiet at night, the quiet stayed. That was new. That was everything. Court day. Karma with interest. Court smells like old paper and fresh nerves. Ben hands me a legal pad like it's a comfort animal. Mom's cardigan is her armor. Dad's tie sits straight like a verdict that drove itself. We take the second row. Investors fill the left like a polite storm cloud. My lawyer radiates whether you can trust. He walks in smaller. Haircut humbled. Tan on back order. No cuffs, but gravity finally remembered him. He doesn't look at us. Then he does. It lands like a damp apology. I blink once. Friendly, not feral. Case number. Names. Counts read like a menu with no dessert. Wire fraud. Embezzlement. Conspiracy garnish. The prosecutor stands, calm blade. Evidence is straightforward, Your Honor. Bank trails, shell entities, falsified invoices, email headers, metadata, transfers timed with luxury purchases. Luxury sounds medical, accurate. His attorney tries the soft piano defense. A visionary overwhelmed by growth. The judge blinks once, the kind of blink that retires arguments. We don't call theft vision here. Write that on a courthouse tote. Exhibit parade. The invoice with Phoenix and Cedal gets held up like a plagiarized book report. Same typo across different vendors? The judge asks. Templates, his lawyer says. Convenient, says the judge. The court reporter types convenient in italics, I swear. They stack the transfer chains. Operating account to consultant, to holding LLC to yacht lender. 2 days. Notes, retainer, marketing. The judge glances over glasses. You named it liquid assets? She asks, voice doing cardio without moving. He doesn't answer. The room answers for him by existing. Hospice cut next, the canceled donation. Beside it, thermodynamics, $6,300. Sparkler emoji, bottle parade. Explain thermodynamics, says the judge. Morale, says his lawyer. For whom, says the judge. The wood grain studies its career. The plea rumor dissolves on contact with paper. Specificity bullies fiction. His lawyer pivots to remorse, late to the party. He accepts responsibility. My lawyer leans and whispers, 5 months late is not early. Victim statements. Investors first. Calm fury with receipts. Lost quarter, delayed hires, trust turned into confetti. His voice shakes once, then lands. A partner says, he signed my name. He made me complicit in a crime I didn't commit. Mom squeezes my hand. Go. I stand, heart steady like it practiced. We teach kids not to take what isn't theirs. We expect adults to be better at it. He siphoned our work and asked for applause. We rebuilt. We'll keep rebuilding. Time and sleep are gone. Please return what can be returned. I sit. Bench breathes with me. He turns to us. I'm sorry, he says, small. The judge tilts her head. Remorse is not a strategy. It's a start. You're late to it. Sentencing math arrives with clean shoes, guideline ranges, enhancements for leadership role, number of victims.
Sophisticated means. I almost laugh at sophisticated. The typos would like a word, but the scheme still counts. Years are said out loud, not a movie sting. A metronome with teeth, fines, restitution schedule that will tick for a long time. Supervised release with a no money hands clause. Appropriate. His face does seasons. Anger winter, bargaining spring, sadness fall. Summer retired. He looks like the kid who flooded the yard and told me it was art. I keep my face kind, not forgiving, not gloating, just steady. The judge adds a line I want on mugs. If you wanted legacy, honesty was available. Gavel, clean sound, no echo. Done. Outside, microphones bloom like impatient tulips. No comment, my lawyer says, donating dignity. An investor cannot resist. Due diligence, then walks away like a tagline in loafers. Reporters pivot. The air moves on. On the steps, Dad rests a hand on my shoulder. You did good, he says. Not loud, heavy enough to stay. Mom threads her arm through mine. We're getting tacos. This is not a suggestion. Ben nods like a man who has earned guacamole. Justice requires salsa. He passes by at distance with a deputy, glances over. I don't wave. I don't flinch. I wish him books and oxygen. That's it. Tacos taste like someone turned the lights back on. Chips keep arriving like they have a growth mindset. Mom laughs once by accident. She looks surprised to hear herself and lets it happen again. Dad orders extra limes like he's bargaining with peace. Ben draws a little boat on his napkin and names it due diligence. I pocket the napkin like a receipt for a feeling. Back home, the binder goes on a shelf labeled artifacts. The auction screenshot with the yacht's new name stares down from its frame. The house does that quiet exhale I keep chasing. It's boring. It's beautiful. It's ours. And for the first time in a long time, my phone hits 1:57 a.m. without me. It keeps going. I don't. I sleep. Friendly, not feral. Steady, not loud. The best.
Kind of legacy. Lessons, laughs, and lockup. We did a family debrief at the kitchen table with pie and policies. I said, boundaries aren't rude. They're doors that lock. Mom nodded like a metronome. Dad said, no more secrets, even the boring ones. I said, especially the boring ones. We wrote a list. Keys, approvals, who touches what. Love is unlimited. Access is not. Business fixes went from idea to muscle memory. 2 signatures on every outgoing payment, even the cute $20 ones. Segregation of duties like assigned seats. Vendor onboarding with humans, leases, and addresses that don't rhyme with storage. Read-only bank feeds for anybody who sneezes near money. Passwords moved into a vault so secure, it asked me how my day was. Multi-factor like a bouncer with a clipboard. We practice drills. If someone says taxes, ask for an EIN. If someone says boutique, ask for rent receipts. If someone says trust me, say show me. Repetition builds bone. The ops manager taught a lunch and learn called fraud isn't magic, it's patterns. Slides were short and bossy, round numbers, night transfers. Typos that travel in packs. We clapped for patterns like we knew them personally. She cried for 1 second at the end, then labeled a drawer, cables, stay. Joy looks like tidy drawers. I let myself be petty in spoonfuls. I framed the yacht listing with its new name, due diligence. It watches me work and behaves like a lighthouse that throws shade. I kept the embossed invitation in a folder labeled artifacts. I set unknown callers to a cash register cha-ching so telemarketers become performance art. I ate cake again. Cake did nothing wrong. Community tapped my shoulder. I spoke at a chamber breakfast titled Boring Saves You. I said, read your bank feed like gossip and treat round numbers like suspicious haircuts. A man in a bolo tie said, my nephew says synergy. Tell him to say ledger, I said. He laughed and smelled like cedar and common sense. We shook on boring. Neighbors asked, how did you know? I said. He posted at noon. Money moved it too. If your life is a highlight reel and your bank is a horror film, that's a clue. They nodded like people who were ready to unsubscribe from chaos. At home, Mom started therapy and bragged about it like a kid with a sticker. She said, I don't have to host everyone's mistakes. I said, you can host cookies. She baked 4 kinds. Dad apologized 3 times in different rooms, each time more specific. I wanted the easy story, he said. Next time I want the true one. I handed him a highlighter and a good chair. We read policies like bedtime stories that finally help you sleep. We visited him. Bleach, boredom, new humility. He said, I'm reading. Good. Read. Think. Breathe. He asked if we hate him. We don't. We hate that he turned our work into a backdrop for his sprint. We left with our hearts neatly shelved. Tiny wins piled up like coins in a jar. The alive button retired. My phone slid past 1:57 a.m. without me. The cat judged me only during business hours. Payroll reconciled itself like a poem. Vendors sent invoices with correct cities. Phoenix, spelled like Phoenix. I teared up at a city name. Don't tell anyone. We set a wall rule. If someone says visionary, ask who reconciles. If someone says float, ask for dates. If someone says legacy, ask for the ledger. It's not unkind. It's kind with math. We celebrated small, boring things. A month-end close that landed on time. A bank rec with zero variance. A Tuesday that felt like a Tuesday. We high-fived in an office that smelled like coffee and trust. I put a tiny gold star on the whiteboard. Ben rolled his eyes and drew a checkbox next to it. We checked it off together. When the quiet got weird, we played Aunt Carol's minor key and watched it resolve into something simple. She said, "Minor keeps you honest." I said, "Boring keeps you paid." Mom hummed. Dad washed dishes at a steady beat that could carry a room. We let the house breathe. It did. And so did we. The cake leaned, the cuffs flashed, and the music stalled, like even jazz knew the ledger had spoken first. If you want more stories where petty meets receipts and the math wins out loud, hit subscribe and stay close. Watch the next one. There's a rehearsal dinner, a cease and desist, and a DJ who learns about invoices. New stories every week. Come get your karma with interest.